Hello, everyone. Welcome to my very first weight loss podcast. My name is Dr. Andrea Walker. I am a board-certified family nurse practitioner with a Doctor of Nursing Practice degree. I am also a certified weight loss specialist, a personal trainer, and an IFBB professional figure bodybuilder. I am the owner of Dr. Andrea's Medical and Weight Loss Clinic located in Cordova, Tennessee, where I treat patients throughout the state of Tennessee, and I own Telehealth DNP, LLC, which is a telemedicine practice where I manage the care of patients throughout the states of Arizona and Florida, with a huge focus on compounded Semaglutide and Tirzepatide, but I also provide minor illness visits as well. I started this podcast because there is so much misinformation out there on various social media platforms by non-medical people when it comes to weight loss in general. I want to be able to share my knowledge as a certified weight loss specialist. I have a doctorate degree and over 24 plus years of medical experience in healthcare. As a weight loss expert, I am passionate about what I do, and I absolutely love what I get to do on a daily basis. Just a little bit more about me. I am also a competitive professional bodybuilder, fitness guru, and personal trainer. I work out 6 days a week, and I truly understand weight loss. I understand that working out and eating healthy does not work for everyone. Some will require additional measures and help to get the weight off, and that's why I do what I do. Since this is the first podcast, I just wanted to give you a little background information about me. Moving on. In today's episode, I will discuss compounding pharmacies, their role, compounded Semaglutide, and Tirzepatide. You may know these medications by their brand names: Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro, and Zepbound. Before we go any further, let me break it down a little bit more. People call my office and ask if I have Ozempic. Ozempic is probably the most popular known name of the weight loss injections, but let me clarify the names you should call the injections, because Ozempic is actually not even truly a quote weight loss injection. Ozempic is the brand name that originally came out for diabetics, and weight loss just happens to be a side effect and benefits that diabetics can receive from it. But the generic name of Ozempic is Semaglutide. The same makers of Ozempic also came out with the medication Wegovy, which is a brand name as well, and it is indicated for the use of chronic weight loss. Here is where it gets a bit confusing. The generic name for Wegovy is Semaglutide as well. So back to the original statement as to when a patient calls my office and asks if I have Ozempic. I know what they mean, but the response is no. I do not sell Ozempic, but I have compounded Semaglutide for weight loss. Most patients don't really know what that means as it relates to the compounded part. They just want to know if it will help them lose weight. So yes, it will help them lose weight, but no, it is not Ozempic, nor is it Wegovy. It is compounded Semaglutide. And Semaglutide is the main ingredient in both Ozempic and Wegovy. Now, I will explain the same thing for Mounjaro and Zepbound. Eli Lilly is the manufacturer of both Mounjaro and Zepbound. Mounjaro is for diabetics, and Zepbound is indicated for chronic weight loss. The generic name for both of these medications is Tirzepatide, which is the main ingredient in both Mounjaro and Zepbound. Again, it can be a tiny bit confusing that both of their generic names are Tirzepatide. But if a patient calls and asks if I sell Mounjaro or Zepbound, the answer is no, but I do sell compounded Tirzepatide for weight loss. Brand name medications are FDA approved and can only be prescribed by a licensed MD, NP, or PA, such as myself, and picked up generally at a retail pharmacy such as Walmart, Walgreens, etc. Generally, you will not pick up the brand name at a compounding pharmacy. So, sometimes people are still confused and they think they are getting counterfeit Semaglutide or Tirzepatide if they receive the compounded version, because it's not the brand name. There are different versions available, and only one would be an absolute no-go for me. So let me explain. There is obviously the brand name, Wegovy, Ozempic, Zepbound, and Mounjaro, which is fine. Then you have the compounded versions. You have your compounded Semaglutide or compounded Tirzepatide. I have no problem with compounding versions as long as it is from a reputable compounding pharmacy. And then there is everything else, which is a good chance of it being counterfeit semaglutide or counterfeit tirzepatide. Obviously, the ones you should stay away from. This is the main purpose of this podcast, to clarify, so stay with me. I can't talk about compounding semaglutide or tirzepatide without first discussing what a compounding pharmacy is. So what exactly is a compounding pharmacy? This is super important to know because people will say, don't take semaglutide or tirzepatide because it is not safe. Well, the difference is, did it come from a compounding pharmacy? That is a key question to know. You want the answer to be yes. A compounding pharmacy is a specialty pharmacy in which a licensed pharmacist works in a controlled, sterile, and safe environment to compound medications. Listen closely. The medications compounded by compounding pharmacies are not FDA approved. However, compounding pharmacies are subject to FDA regulations and monitored by the FDA, state boards of pharmacy, and the USP convention to ensure safety and efficacy. Compounding pharmacies must use pharmaceutical-grade ingredients and comply with industry standards set by the United States Pharmacopoeia Convention, ensuring high-quality compounding practices. So, there are definitely regulations and safety measures in place for the general public when it comes to compounding medications. With that being said, if you are not getting your semaglutide or tirzepatide from a compounding pharmacy, and I'm not talking about the brand names, which would be Ozempic, Wegovy, Zepbound, or Mounjaro, as mentioned earlier. But if you're ordering your semaglutide offline or picking it up at a gym, a weight loss clinic, med spa, or anywhere but a retail pharmacy, and it is not compounded, then there is a chance that no regulations are in place and you could be purchasing counterfeit semaglutide or counterfeit tirzepatide. This means there's no telling what you are actually taking. It may be mixed with some percentage of semaglutide or tirzepatide, or it may not contain any semaglutide or tirzepatide at all, and it could contain undisclosed and potentially harmful ingredients. Here's to give you a better understanding of what I am talking about. Novo Nordisk is the manufacturer of Wegovy and Ozempic, and Eli Lilly is the manufacturer of Mounjaro and Zepbound. Some of you may have heard about this very recently in the news. Novo Nordisk recently sued several medical spas, weight loss clinics, and pharmacies in the United States for selling products claiming to contain semaglutide, the key ingredient in the popular weight loss drug Wegovy. The drug maker said that when it tested the products being sold by some of the companies, it found impurities of up to 24%, including formaldehyde and other unknown impurities. Eli Lilly, who is the maker of Zepbound, has also sued medical spas, weight loss clinics, and pharmacies claiming to sell Tirzepatide when it contained impurities as well. So basically, it was counterfeit versions of Tirzepatide that was being sold. The moral of the story, do your research. Definitely do not buy it if an MD, NP, or PA is not involved. If you can just go online and purchase by placing it in a shopping cart and check out without having any type of communication with a licensed healthcare professional or provider, please do not purchase it for your own safety. These medications contain black box warnings and do have side effects and risk involved. Trust me, you want a licensed healthcare provider managing your care while taking this prescription medication so that you can be monitored safely and appropriately and achieve success. Now, although I said make sure a licensed healthcare provider is involved, that still might not be enough, but that is definitely a start. Unfortunately, many of the weight loss clinics and spas who were recently sued did have NPs, MDs, and PAs working for them. I cannot speak directly for those involved, but I would like to think that the providers did not intentionally sell counterfeit semaglutide and tirzepatide or intentionally mislead their patients. But unfortunately, they probably did not do enough research to know that they were not receiving legit compounding semaglutide and or tirzepatide. I say this because I receive unexpected pop-up visits by pharmaceutical reps weekly to my office, as well as emails all the time trying to get me to purchase their versions of semaglutide and or tirzepatide products. I do not entertain any of it no matter what because I know the companies I currently use are very legit. as well as they provide third-party testing of their semaglutide and tirzepatide to confirm that it is indeed what they say it is before they ship it out. I am not looking for better prices or anything else at this time. There are way too many risks involved. So, with that being said, I think some healthcare providers may just be jumping on the bandwagon, not thinking to do their own research of various companies. So, everyone still needs to be aware and cautious when choosing companies to utilize and sign up with. As the old saying goes, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. The original manufacturers of Wegovy and Zepbound, as well as the FDA, are watching and coming after business owners, pharmacies, providers, online companies, spas, etc., that are not following the guidelines, and those who are selling the counterfeit versions of semaglutide and tirzepatide, whether intentional or unintentional. I've worked too hard for all of my degrees and licenses to put them in jeopardy over counterfeit medications, so selling the counterfeit versions are definitely a no-go for me. Before I move on from talking specifically about compounding pharmacies, I want to also make you aware that each state has the authority to ban the selling of specific compounded medications, such as compounded semaglutide or tirzepatide. There are currently a few states that will not allow any compounding semaglutide or tirzepatide to be shipped into their state, and this is legal. With that being said, if a company is advertising that they can ship their semaglutide or tirzepatide to all 50 states, then this is a red flag and a sign that it is not coming from a reputable compounding pharmacy. So run the other way. Again, currently at the time of the recording of this podcast, there are a few states who absolutely will not allow it, and all legit compounding pharmacies are aware of the states that have banned compounded semaglutide or compounded tirzepatide to be shipped to those states. So whatever is being shipped is not coming from a reputable compounding pharmacy and is a counterfeit version. So please, please, please be careful. Now, let's move on and talk about reputable compounded semaglutide and tirzepatide. As stated, you will want to purchase your compounded semaglutide or tirzepatide from a reputable compounding pharmacy or clinic, spa, or telemedicine practice that uses a compounding pharmacy. So what are ways you will know that your medication is not safe? If your medication vial or bottle includes the words, "not for human consumption," or "for research purposes only," or "semaglutide salt," or ingredients from unregistered manufacturers, these are not coming from a reputable compounding pharmacy, and I would not recommend you use those particular medications, even if you have used them in the past and, quote, felt fine. They do not meet FDA safety requirements. Now, let me address this. Semaglutide is the key ingredient in Wegovy, and Tirzepatide is the key ingredient in Zepbound, as I stated earlier. So when the compounding pharmacy compounds semaglutide or Tirzepatide, basically they must make the medication or compound the medication with those key ingredients, semaglutide and Tirzepatide. Patients will ask me if my clinic adds B12 or B6 in my compounded semaglutide. My compounding pharmacies do not. Some compounding pharmacies do. Some will ask me, is this okay? Yes, it is perfectly fine. Some people like it, some people do not. I hear some people feel like it waters down the medication. But that's a whole nother podcast we will address later, but I just wanted to mention it today. It is okay, and it's not counterfeit semaglutide if it does have B6 or B12 in it. Now, with the counterfeit versions, you may have some semaglutide in it or none at all, and who knows what else in it. And the same with Tirzepatide. You may or may not have some Tirzepatide and various other products in it. Lastly, just a clarification on the compounded versions being the cause of the shortage of the brand medications. This is absolutely not true. About a year ago or so, I was running an ad on social media for compounding semaglutide for weight loss, and a diabetic patient made a comment that capital I was the reason for the shortage as to why he could not get his Ozempic at his local retail pharmacy. I did not respond to him, but I did block him. However, I will address it a year later right now. Compounded semaglutide or compounded tirzepatide is not the reason why diabetics cannot get their medication at their local pharmacies. Actually, the shortage is one of the main reasons compounding pharmacies are allowed by the FDA to compound the medications. It's actually allowed to help out because there is a shortage of the brand name Wegovy and Ozempic, as well as Zepbound and Mounjaro. That is why people are reaching out to compounding pharmacies right now, because the supply is there and the shortage is continuing throughout the country with the brand name versions of the medications. As a matter of fact, I get a lot of people come to my clinic in Tennessee and will say, my PCP told me to find a weight loss clinic to get the compounded version of semaglutide for one of two reasons. Either it is out of stock at their local retail pharmacy, such as Walgreens or Walmart, or their insurance will not cover it, so they must pay cash price. Many PCPs are perfectly fine with the compounded versions of semaglutide and tirzepatide, but there are still some PCPs who may not be okay with it, mainly due to the lack of knowledge and a true understanding as to what exactly compounded semaglutide and tirzepatide is. As I stated earlier, with all of the talk in the news about the potential to purchase the harmful versions of semaglutide and tirzepatide, some healthcare professionals would just rather their patients remain clear of all versions to be, quote, on the safe side. But I get it, and I hear many of you when you complain that your PCP does not want you taking any weight loss medications. But as for me and this podcast, it will be a 100% go when it comes to safe weight loss. So let's keep moving forward and dropping that weight. I really hope you enjoyed today's podcast. I enjoyed sharing my knowledge. I'm looking forward to sharing a podcast once a week, and who knows just what the future will hold. Have a great week. Put the work in, eat healthy, get to the gym, and remember that dedication and consistency is the key to your success.